Alright guys, we're back here with the Remington 870. We're going to put her back together. Pretty simple guns. Something I missed in the teardown video that I did want to tell you too is that these shell latches, I did state they're kind of like the 1100, only that there's two of them that run across the edge here on each side. Instead of the 1100's got one that works up and down on a little hinge and spring right about here, and then the other one is a bar style like this. It is pretty common for these to fall out. Typically the guns will work if you just kind of stick them back in there and get your pin through the hole to get it lined back up. But they can be restaked back in. When I was talking about that staking tool, you can find it online. There's the one that I have is the old version. They have a newer version that I actually think probably works a little bit better. But you can find them. They're not terribly expensive. So if you don't know what you're doing, I would suggest taking it to a gunsmith, because you can screw this up to the point where you can't even get a shell latch back inside of the gun. So keep that in mind. Anyways, let's get back to putting this guy back together. What we need to do, we're going to put a thing inside of a thing and do a thing. So bolt, right? Stock bolt, little screw. Remember your this washer, this goes up against the stock here, and these goofy little teeth on it are what they need to be facing down into the stock. They bite into the stock, so remember that. We're gonna put, let's see, your plate. That steel plate's got to be on there. Wood stock has to have the steel plate. Synthetic stocks do not. Let's see. Put our little rag here. I'm just going to drop this down inside the stock. Adjust this camera a little bit. There we go. And screwdriver bit. Long screwdriver. There. And I'm just going to line up, get my the slot of the screwdriver down there into that screw. Come on, you fucking thing. There we go. Get that there, and then we'll line all that stuff up. I'm going to do this off camera, man, just because there's no way to get this done right on camera. Okay, so a lot of threads, most of them are all the way in there. You don't have to tighten the shit out of this bolt, this stock bolt. It's got that lock washer on it, so good and snug is good enough. And just don't have to crank the shit out of it, man. It was having to vise that to get this stock off was a little excessive, man. That's good enough, man. That'll hold on there just fine. There's some goose still on this stock here, man. What the hell? No, that's in the wood. Anyways, yeah, I went ahead and got whatever that stupid sticker, looked like sticker glue on here. I don't know. It was on this side, I think. Yeah, it was on this side. I got most of that off, man. I didn't want to rub on it too hard and take some finish off or something, but now that that's on, we can take a butt pad, stick it on. They make screwdriver bits specifically for the butt pad kind of thing there, and see how it's pretty long and relatively thin there, and that's to keep from tearing up the butt pad when you're screwing it back together. You use a little dab of oil on it or Vaseline or something like that, helps lube it up. I mean, I suppose you could spit on it, but what are we, the porn industry? Like I said, same thing here, man. Just snug. They don't really back out. You don't want to go cranking on it and strip the wood out. I'm going to set the receiver and all that on over the side real quick. We're going to put our bolt back together. Bolt, firing pin spring, firing pin, locking block, and retaining pin there. you put your locking block in. The little nub here that sticks out goes into, rides in this little groove, this channel in the bolt there. So it's pretty easy to figure out which way is which. Typically I'll just drop the spring inside of there before I start feeding the firing pin through, because then you can just push that in there. It does take a little bit to get that spring to want to cooperate when you're pushing the rest of this in there. You got to make sure that the grooves on that firing pin are lined up like so, so the pin can go through and retain it. But once you have that, it's really just a matter of getting your pin in there. And these pins are knurled kind of on the end there, and the pin goes, that knurling is at the bottom of the bolt here, and then we'll just take it and whack the shit out of it, make sure it goes in there. Yeah, didn't quite make it. Pretty stout pins, so there we go. I'm gonna take that punch there. As long as it sits below flush with this, we're okay. There's that. We'll punch it here back. Go away, punch. Where's that one go? There it is. Anyways, yeah. I'll come back here to the receiver. Follower, mag tube spring. And then I'm gonna try and keep this on camera here for you to watch. Yeah, you like that? The little cap here. Typically what I'll do is, if you see it's got that little cut there in it, I'll stick the noses of that cut down in there like that and try and compress it with my fingers just a little bit to get it to go inside and start like that. And then from there you can just tap it in so that it's just below flush, or just at flush is fine. I mean, it's no big deal, as long as it's in there. Then need to get the forearm. Yeah, get our forearm here, and what we'll do is the bolt carrier will go on, actually, excuse me, go on like this, and this is 1100 carrier. I mean, I guess the parts of that are interchangeable, but I just noticed that, man, myself, that the bolt carrier here, if you look at it, that little groove, that weird cutout there, is for a Remington 1100. That's where your little charging handle would slide through. There'd be a detent ball, a hole somewhere put in there for a detent and ball to hold that thing in there. That's interesting. I've never even really noticed that before. It goes in like that, like I said, and then your forearm, the arms themselves fit in like that. But if you just take it and hold it up like that and slide this over your mag tube, when you hit about there, you're going to have to reach under. Remember that shell latch we hit to pull it apart? Reach under there and hit that shell latch, and you're probably going to have to do both sides one at a time like that and get it to slide in. And what I'm pushing in there are these little shell latches right here and right here. You see those things sticking out? That's what blocks those arms from going completely in and out. So you have to kind of push those in to disassemble or reassemble the gun. We'll put our trigger group in now. Simple. Like I said, don't mess with these things. Don't take them apart. Don't. They can be complex, and if you do, you basically kind of void the warranty out. Remington won't touch it after that. Or if you send it back to Remington for whatever reason and they see that you've been screwing with it, they'll replace this whole trigger group and then they'll charge you for a new one. They're about $250 or something, I think. So I don't know if they're that expensive. They're probably like $100, $150, something. They're not cheap either way. So don't screw with it. So big pin in the back, little pin in the front there. Soft side of the hammer. Tap them in. Cool deal. We'll take our barrel and we slide her back on, like so. Hit the little bolt release there, man, and push that bolt back just a little bit. Makes it easier to assemble. Yeah. Magazine cap. Screw that on until tweet like a twinkle. There you go, man. They go bang, cocky, safety work. Cool. That's it, man. That's an 870 in the long and short. They all of them are the same, man. There's nothing internally you're gonna see different. Occasionally the little cap that holds the mag tube spring in is slightly different. If it's got the what I call the nub style, is that instead of being flat on the top there, like you saw it was flat. Sometimes right in the middle they have these weird like nubs that come up and over, and they're a pain in the ass to get out, and they're more brittle. They're not as springy, so sometimes they break when you pull them out of there, just trying to pry them out, and they'll just shatter in half. I think that's a pretty old style. They typically don't put them in the new guns. I'm not sure if this one's been replaced or not. It looks like it has. But yeah, 870, super easy, super simple, and I don't care if it's the 12 gauge or the 20 gauge or whatever else, man. They all come apart and go back together the same exact way. Nothing really special about any of them. Yeah. Questions, comments, concerns, bitches, groans, keep it all to yourself. I don't want to hear it. Other than that, man, like, share, subscribe. Thanks, guys.